Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. I can't believe it's not butter, but better. I'm Andrew Albers. I will be your host today. I'm an account executive here. And let's get started with a couple housekeeping items here. All right, so everyone's muted. However, please put your questions into the question box, and I will make sure to address any questions towards the end of our session today. Slides and screenshots will be provided upon request. Also, we are recording today's session, so don't feel like you need to take notes feverishly. Again, this will be recorded, and the video will be eventually uploaded onto our YouTube channel, so you can review it at a later time at your leisure. All right, today's agenda, we're talking about document imaging and importing with Laserfiche. Obviously, paper has not gone away. It's not going away anytime soon, but we can definitely control what we do with the paper by utilizing Laserfiche. So we're going to take a look at some document imaging tools in Laserfiche today, specifically the Laserfiche scanning interface. I'm going to highlight some processes and enhancements that are available in that interface. We're going to talk about scanning process improvements through quick fields, Laserfiche quick fields with barcodes recognition. Additionally, we're going to talk about scanning process improvements through quick fields and zonal OCR, so letting us read specific zones in a document to identify that document and pull in specific metadata from that document into Laserfiche. And finally, we're going to take a look at some advanced new feature in Laserfiche Cloud. Specifically today, we're going to focus on handwriting recognition for invoices. This is part of the Smart Invoice Capture profile in Laserfiche. All right, just a quick overview on some of those tools that I just mentioned. So Laserfiche scanning interface will be covered today. We're going to talk about those image enhancements and processes that are available in that interface. And I will also point out universal capture feature in Laserfiche, which may not be familiar to a lot of users in Laserfiche. We're also going to look at importing files from OneDrive or Google Drive. So Laserfiche does have an integration with both platforms out of the box that's available to use and makes it really efficient and effective to import documents into Laserfiche from those platforms. Additionally, importing using drag and drop is a really popular process with Laserfiche, and I'll show that process in action with an enhancement using Laserfiche workflow that will allow us to process that imported document in Laserfiche, naming it, indexing it, and filing it into the appropriate folders in the system. One final way to point out of using Laserfiche importing tools is through Laserfiche Import Agent. Many may not know that this tool is available in Laserfiche, and it is a really powerful tool that can really help you import documents automatically into Laserfiche from various folders. These folders can be either on your local machine or on the network somewhere. And you can have this tool monitor those folders, and anytime new documents come into those folders, the system will recognize them and import them into Laserfiche. So one really popular use case in this scenario is when clients are utilizing multifunction printers and copiers. Those devices are typically network devices, and they will import or scan into a folder somewhere on the network or on a local machine. And then we can have Laserfiche Import Agent monitor those folders for us and bring in any of those documents or records into Laserfiche. Once they're imported into Laserfiche, the system can process those documents through Laserfiche workflow and file them into the appropriate folder structure and applying our index fields and metadata. Laserfiche Quick Fields. This is Laserfiche's advanced capture platform. This is something that is an optional add-on on your perpetual on-premise Laserfiche platforms, such as the Legacy United platforms, the current Avante and Rio platforms. There it is an add-on. With Laserfiche Cloud, it is included on the professional and business tiers. It's an optional add-on on the starter tier. And with Laserfiche subscription, this is also included with the professional and business tiers. And there again, it's an add-on onto the starter tier. Now, this module is very useful because this is an advanced capture platform for batch scanning of documents and records. So with this module, what it allows you to do is set up specific profiles based upon the documents that you want to scan or import into Laserfiche in a batch. This batch may contain various different document types, but once the system is programmed to recognize these types of documents, it can process them effectively, quickly, strip out the necessary metadata that we need, apply that metadata into our indexing template and indexing fields in Laserfiche. And additionally to that, it then allows us to file those documents into the appropriate folders in Laserfiche. And today I'm going to highlight two specific modules within QuickFields, which is the barcode recognition, which reads barcodes for us from documents, as well as the zonal OCR capability, which allows us to read specific zones in those documents and pull in metadata from those specific zones into our Laserfiche templates and index fields. And then finally, we're going to take a look at that new advanced feature in Laserfiche Cloud. It's handwriting recognition. Specifically in our case today, we're going to focus on invoices. So this is part of the smart invoice capture profile in Laserfiche. This is something new. Laserfiche is continuing to improve this process, but now it's currently allowing you to recognize handwriting from invoices. So if for some reason you have invoices that are coming in with handwriting, the system can be programmed to recognize that handwriting and extract that handwritten text into our metadata in Laserfiche. So very convenient to help you capture handwritten information from these invoices and really just help you streamline your accounts payable process, because this smart invoice capture profile can be incorporated into a Laserfiche workflow business process. And that's something we'll talk about towards the end of the demonstration today. All right, let's get right into it. So we're going to first focus on Laserfiche scanning. So I'm going to open up our Laserfiche client interface. So this is the installed client application for those that are not familiar with Laserfiche. You can use this interface with even the cloud platforms as well. So a lot of people don't know this, but if you are using Laserfiche Cloud, you can use the fixed client application with Laserfiche Cloud. And the benefit of this is in a case where users are doing heavy scanning, a lot of them, from what we have found, still do prefer the Laserfiche fixed client interface. So we'll open up Laserfiche scanning here. And here I just wanted to highlight some of the tools that are available for us to use as we're imaging documents into Laserfiche. So what we have available here is various tools to help us with image processing. And this is really what I wanted to focus on today, because we want to make sure we're capturing clean, accurate information into our Laserfiche system. So Laserfiche scanning is used for those one-off type jobs, because really not everything is going to be a batch where we're importing a batch, we're running it through the QuickFields engine where it's a bit more intelligent. There'll be a lot of cases where you're doing kind of one-off scanning. And in those cases, you really want to make sure you're utilizing some of these enhancements that are available to help you capture accurate information in the system. So we have various image processing capability here in the right pane. Let's focus first on the processes that we can utilize for our scan. So we have our omni-page OCR engine. So what this is, this extracts text from all of our documents as they are being scanned in, thus then allowing us to search for any keywords appearing in those scanned documents. And as we select our enhancement process, we have a wizard here, which will guide us through setting up our specifics for this OCR process. So there's a guide that literally guides you through the exact steps you need to take to set this engine up. So once you have that set up, this can run on your scans. Now let's look at some of these other processes. We have the page removal option. So this allows us to remove any blank pages in documents. So this is very important if we're scanning duplex styles, so essentially scanning front and backs of documents. You'll notice at some point you'll have a document that may not have any text on the back page, and you want to remove that page because you don't necessarily need to store blank pages in your system. So with this page removal tool, you can have the system automatically delete that blank page. So that's our image processing enhancements. Now let's look at some of our other enhancements here to make sure we're capturing a clean image into Laserfiche. So one really popular one is the deskew process here. This allows us to deskew documents that may have been skewed for some reason. Maybe it's a 30-page document and you're scanning through the scanner, and one page for one reason or another may be a little bit skewed. So the system's going to help clean that up for you. Another popular one here is our despeckling process. So what this allows you to do is clean up any documents that may be your legacy type documents, historical type documents. They may not be the best quality. So you can go ahead and run the despeckle process on those images to help get you that cleaner, more quality image into Laserfiche. All right, so with that here, what you're also able to do is then just drag these processes around. Perhaps you want to run the page removal process first. You can go ahead and just move it up. And once you have this set up, you can go ahead and run your scan. Now, with Laserfiche scanning, you can utilize a device that's connected to your local machine. So a scanner connected physically to your machine. However, a feature here I wanted to point out that a lot of users may not know about is we have universal capture capability. And what this is, this allows you to pull documents from within folders on your local machine or a network drive. So these are documents that are already electronically stored somewhere on a local machine or a network folder. However, you can utilize Laserfiche scanning and these various image processing enhancement processes to import these documents into your Laserfiche repository. So universal capture, a very powerful tool to get additional documents and data into your Laserfiche system, and utilizing our enhancement processes here that are available in our Laserfiche scanning interface. Okay, so that's Laserfiche scanning, pretty basic, but a lot of users obviously are going to need to scan. This is really meant for those one-off type scans. Later on, we'll get into Quick Fields, which is the advanced capture platform that's a lot more automated, a lot more enhancements available there as well. All right, next I wanted to show you how to import from OneDrive. So as I mentioned earlier, Laserfiche does have an integration with OneDrive and Google Drive, but in my case, I do use OneDrive, so I'm going to be showing OneDrive today. So we'll switch over to our web-based interface in Laserfiche. So this is through a web browser. We call this a thin client interface as well. I'll navigate to the folder where I want to import, and I'll simply go to the right pane here and click on import. This then gives us a couple of different options. So today we're doing OneDrive. So we're going to select OneDrive. I am running OneDrive here on my system, as we can see here. So we have OneDrive connected into our Laserfiche environment. So as we open up Laserfiche OneDrive interface here, this will allow us to select the document that we want to import directly into Laserfiche from OneDrive. So here you're able to select one document or multiple documents that you want to import into your Laserfiche system. So let's just import our Word document here. Select that document, click import. And here we are presented with the import specifics into Laserfiche. By specifics, I mean this will then allow us to name this document appropriately. And then we can also obviously assign our indexing information for this document. So we can go ahead and assign our template here. I'll just make this a contract. We'll call this HR, contract type, HR employment. You'll notice there's red asterisks, so these are the required fields that need to be completed before this document can be imported into Laserfiche. Once that's done, we can go ahead and hit import. And this document is now directly imported into Laserfiche from our OneDrive environment. So now we're in our Laserfiche folder here. Document has been imported. And we can go ahead and check the metadata of this document here. So our contract template has been assigned, and those fields I completed here are now in our Laserfiche template. Now, additionally, we may want to make this process a bit more automated, a bit more intelligent. So what you can also do with these imports from OneDrive or Google Drive is have these be imported into a folder in Laserfiche that's part of a workflow. So the Laserfiche workflow can monitor incoming folders in Laserfiche and then process or reprocess these documents for you. So it could essentially recognize what type of a document this is, assign the appropriate template, fill in the appropriate fields, and file this document into those appropriate folders in Laserfiche. If this is a document that doesn't have a folder to go into yet, the system can also dynamically create our folders for us. And that's what I wanted to get to next. I really want to show you some intelligence built into Laserfiche as you're importing files into the system. So what I'm going to show next is a simple drag and drop process from a folder on my local machine. And we're going to take that document, drag and drop it into Laserfiche, and have the workflow reprocess it for us. So let's go into our folder where we want to drag and drop our document. You'll notice here in this folder, I only have one additional subfolder called the intake folder. So this is the intake folder where my documents go into before they are processed by the workflow. So let's open up our intake folder here. And let's go to my sample document here. So you'll notice this is a very generically named document, something you would see on everybody's computer, real no naming convention to this document. However, once it's imported into Laserfiche, the system will recognize the document type, and it will then rename this document based on our naming conventions, assign our template, and fill in our index fields. So let's do that now. So we're doing our drag and drop. We're not going to generate or provide any metadata here. We're just simply going to click import. And we're going to let Laserfiche process this document for us. All right, so we'll refresh here since we're still in our intake folder. And as you can see, the document has been moved from here. So the document has been processed by the Laserfiche workflow engine. Now, if we go into our folder above our intake folder, you'll notice that the system has now created a new folder for audit because it recognized the document I dragged and dropped in is an audit document. And the system also intelligently knew, hey, there is no folder for audits. Let's create a folder for audits. So it did that. Then it's following our naming conventions and our filing conventions. So it created a subfolder for the year, another subfolder for the month. And you'll notice that our document has now been renamed per our naming convention. So this is what it was named on my local machine. Now it's in Laserfiche and it's named according to our naming convention. So the system recognizes this as an audit document, named it and filed it for us exactly according to our filing and naming conventions. And in our metadata here, you'll notice that the system applied the appropriate template the date, and then the document type, document name, document type as well. So this is really something you can set up for your various imports you're doing into Laserfiche, just to help you with the process of getting those documents in, but really what happens to those documents once they're in Laserfiche? Well, you can make that process a bit more intelligent, a bit more automated, and make sure you're following your filing and naming conventions in the Laserfiche system. So that was a simple drag and drop into Laserfiche. Now let's talk about that Laserfiche QuickFields Advanced Capture platform. So as I mentioned earlier, Laserfiche QuickFields is used for batch processing of documents. And this is what Laserfiche QuickFields looks like. This is the client interface for Laserfiche QuickFields. And QuickFields allows you to set up various sessions for the types of documents you're scanning in as a batch. So in our case here today, I am scanning in invoices and HR letters at the same time, but I've programmed Laserfiche QuickFields to recognize and correctly classify which document is what, and then additionally read barcodes and do a zonal OCR process. So for our invoices here, I am reading barcodes. So here are my 2 barcodes that I'm reading for invoices and pulling the metadata from these barcodes. For our HR letters, I am doing a zonal OCR process. So there are various zones within documents that we can preset for the system to be able to read those zones and then pull in the metadata from these zones and apply that metadata into our Laserfiche templates. So this would be a one-time setup for our scanning session. When it's all configured and ready to go, we have our scanner loaded, or we can also run this through universal capture, so we can pull from those network or local folders somewhere on your machine or the network. And once you have that all loaded up, you can hit start scanning, and the system will process our documents for us. So what you'll notice here in the left bottom pane is the system classifying our documents correctly. So it recognized we have 3 invoices, we have 2 HR letters, and it has appropriately named our invoices and our HR letters as we've programmed the system to do. So when we look at these documents, we can see how they have been processed here. So what the system did, it read the barcode here for the invoice and the date, and put that information into our template here. Additionally, the system can also do lookups into other systems or databases or lookup tables. So if, for example, you may be using a financial system and there's vendor information already in that financial system, the Laserfiche can do lookups into those systems and pull in additional metadata that may be required from those other systems. In this case, we're showing the barcode recognition process here for our invoices. For our HR letters, you'll notice here what the system did is it read the salary range that's been increased for this specific employee. So we've put that into the metadata here. So salary from and to. So we read that from these zones here. Additionally, we captured the name here and then the date as well. So basically here we're showing intelligent capture where it's a batch of documents, multiple types of documents, but the system can dynamically recognize, classify these documents, read barcodes, do zonal R processes, and process these documents for us. So once this session has ran, we can now import these documents into Laserfiche. So we'll click here for storing these documents in the Laserfiche repository. And let's check what that looks like in Laserfiche. So in our Laserfiche folder here, the system now has also created our subfolders for these documents that we've just scanned in as a batch. So it created a subfolder for invoices and filed our invoices in our Laserfiche repository. Also, the metadata has been brought into Laserfiche. So you can see our template's been assigned and our metadata has been filled into Laserfiche. Same thing for our HR letters here. They've been filed in our HR letters folder. And our metadata has been filled in as well. So Laserfiche Quick Fields, very powerful tool, can do a lot. So if you're processing batches of documents and you want to make that process a bit more intelligent, a bit more intuitive for your end users, because really nobody wants to sit there and index and classify documents manually. So once the system is configured to do that for you, it's as simple as just running a scan or an import through Quick Fields and then sending it to Laserfiche. Once it's in Laserfiche, then a Laserfiche workflow, like I showed during the drag and drop, can still reprocess these documents even further, perhaps move them into additional subfolders, even apply records retention properties for you automatically. So if, for example, you're scanning something that's part of a record and has a retention period on it, Laserfiche can also assign records retention to those documents once they're imported into the system. So that's a quick overview of Laserfiche Quick Fields. Let's take a look at the handwriting recognition in Laserfiche. So this is a new feature in Laserfiche Cloud. And let's get to that now. So we'll go in Laserfiche Cloud under Process Automation here. We'll go under Capture Profiles. And we'll go under our Smart Invoice Profiles here. So I've created a profile for invoices with handwriting. So I can go ahead and open this profile and test it. So what we can do here is we can load sample invoices and test our accuracy of our handwriting recognition. And what the system is doing, it's using a machine learning algorithm. So when you test this here, you can add your sample documents. What you want to do here is add invoices that are the ones that are most similar to the ones coming into your organization. So my invoice, I can go ahead and view that here. I generated a sample invoice. You can see it's got some handwritten text in there. But like I mentioned earlier, you ideally want to load multiple invoices. So you're sort of training the system here to be more accurate with your specific invoices. All right, so once you have that loaded up here, you can go ahead and save this and run the test. So let's run the test here on our sample invoice. And here are the results of our test. So you can see that the system is accurate in terms of reading this type of handwriting from this specific invoice. So you can see it captured the date. It captured our invoice number. We didn't have a PO number on this specific invoice, so it didn't capture it here, but it also did capture that total amount from our invoice there at the bottom right corner. So what this invoice capture, Smart Invoice Capture Profile does, it essentially becomes part of a Laserfiche workflow. Perhaps your accounts payable workflow is running in Laserfiche, and when the workflow recognizes that an invoice has come in, it can go ahead then and kick off the Smart Capture Profile to read that invoice. And if it's in the case it's a handwritten invoice, it can go ahead and process that handwritten text, strip it out, convert it into electronic text, and then this text then becomes part of the metadata. So the Laserfiche workflow can now take the invoice date, the invoice number, PO number, total amount, and apply that into our metadata in Laserfiche in the template for this specific invoice. So this is something very new with Laserfiche. This is a use case for it in handwriting. Laserfiche is also rolling this handwriting recognition out to other capture profiles in Laserfiche. So this is something they are hard at work on, and it will just get better. So this is a little taste of handwriting recognition in Laserfiche. And with that, I think I went through this quite fast, but I think we're towards the end of everything I wanted to show today. So I'd just like to pause to see if there are any questions. So if you want to put anything in the chat, feel free to do that. So I'll just wait for some questions if there aren't any. We do thank you for attending today's session. Just some resources on screen here. Our website is listed here, as well as the YouTube channel library, where we'll be putting the video of this webinar from today for your review at a later time if you need to do that. And my contact information here, as well as contact information for our various CDI departments. And thank you all so much for attending, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I'll stand by for any questions.